Whispers in the walls. Margaret had always been the type of person who remained grounded, tethered by the unbreakable ties of logic and reason. A school teacher by profession, she prescribed order to the chaotic lives of her students, believing in the power of knowledge and structure. Her husband, David, noted how she had the uncanny ability to bring clarity to others' confusion. But now, at 58 years old, Margaret felt a darkness creeping into her world that defied her understanding, a darkness that loomed over her like a thick fog. The onset was subtle. Occasional forgetfulness replaced her usually sharp memory, misplaced keys, forgotten names. It was normal, she reassured herself. Stress from work, perhaps. David, however, began to notice the episodes escalate. One morning, Margaret stood in the kitchen, staring at the refrigerator. When David asked what was wrong, she responded with a hollow look in her eyes, "What is this place?" Margaret? His heart raced. This was not like her. They were in their home, the one they had lived in for over 30 years. Fear for her well-being gripped him. Over the following months, her episodes grew worse, intertwining with moments of panic. She often spoke to shadows, her gaze fixating on the walls, whispering back the fragmented conversations that seemed to echo from inside the house itself. But it wasn't just the memories slipping away. There were times when her mood swung violently from ecstatic laughter to an inexplicable rage. During one such episode, Margaret upended the dining table mid-meal, sending plates crashing to the floor. Her face twisted in confusion. "Don't you hear them? They tell me things." "Who, Margie? Who's telling you things?" David asked, his palms clammy, fear spiking in his chest. "The voices. They tell me what I can't remember," she screamed, falling to the ground, sobbing. Desperate to keep his wife safe, David sought counseling, but each therapy session only highlighted their plight. The medication seemed to numb her, but the voices in the walls surged in response, becoming louder, more insistent. They were an invisible choir that thrived on her anguish while David's sanity slipped away alongside Margaret's. One night, as David lay awake, panic gripped him. Thudding noises echoed through the house, rhythmic and deliberate. Goosebumps prickled his arms. Heart racing, he glanced over at Margaret, who lay asleep, her lips moving as if she were responding to unspoken questions. That night, the sounds beckoned to him. Against his better judgment, he followed the noise down the dimly lit hallway. The floor creaked beneath his feet, the air felt thick with an oppressive weight. Was someone crying? The sounds seemed to morph, grow louder, more distorted. As he approached the source, a cold breeze swept through, extinguishing the hallway light. In that eerie darkness, he found himself staring at the basement door. The thudding had ceased, replaced instead by a dull whisper. No, a multitude of whispers. They beckoned him to come closer, to listen. Trying to quell the dread piling in his stomach, he descended the creaky stairs, the iconic scent of dampness engulfing him. As he stepped into the basement, his breath caught. Words formed from the whispers, a madness-induced chant that filled empty spaces, swirling in a darkened cacophony. "Remember us, remember us." The utterance coiled around him, an ethereal embrace of memories that weren't his own. Faces materialized in the dark, the lost fragments of humanity, their eyes filled with despair. The whispers crescendoed, chilling him to the bone, as if they fed on his very consciousness. Only then did he notice a small, dusty mirror propped against the wall. Drawn to it, he reached out, a pulse of energy surged through him. In the glass, he caught a glimpse of Margaret's image twisted in pain, contorted by the frantic tics of insanity. "Margaret!" he yelled, shattering the fragile moment as the mirror cracked. In response, the voices shrieked, merging into a deafening roar, slashing at his psyche. He stumbled back, falling against the wood beams as cold sweat began to pour down his face. Suddenly, he felt it, the pair of hands gripping his shoulders, firm and relentless. He turned, horrified, staring into the face of his wife, her own reflection in the mirror laughing madly, staring back, a ghost of her former self. "Help me," David screamed, clutching her hand. But the connection shattered as the room dimmed further, the whispers now rising to a sinister chant, "Join us, join us." With one final surge of will, he pulled Margaret from the basement, racing up the stairs before the darkness could pull her back. But as he reached the safety of the hallway, aurochs of malice swamped his heart. He turned one last time, a whisper slipping through his lips. What was it they wanted? As Margaret fell to her knees, sobs racked her body, lost to the world around her. The laughter of 1,000 trapped souls echoed back through the walls, relentless and haunting. David knew then that the darkness had seeped ever deeper, his wife's mind was slipping, and soon, he too would be lost within the labyrinth of hidden shadows. The house, with its peeling wallpaper and creaking doors, was alive. Alive with memories, torment, and a craving for the next lost soul. With a resigned sorrow, David understood that in their fight against the encroaching insanity, the true horror had just begun.